Good morning, everyone. Today we are talking about anthropocentrism. This is the first lesson, the first proper lesson, and it's really important to understand what we are talking about because we are talking about anthropocentrism, that is a notion fundamental at the very core of environmental ethics. It is a notion that allows us to understand better our relation with the planet, our relation with non-human animals and non-humans in general. It's really important to understand it because it's a way in which we relate to the world in many different ways, both in the way in which we think and in the way in which we act. So it's fundamental for ethics because ethics, as we have seen or we have discussed with the first introduction video, is about our behaviors, is about our action, is about our posture, is about our attitude toward the world, toward other humans, and toward non-human beings. So what's anthropocentrism? For sure, anthropocentrism is a basic concept, a rather banal one. Yet it's not easy to talk about anthropocentrism, and there are many ways in which you can talk about anthropocentrism. So I decided to face this issue, put it at the very beginning of our course instead of talking about it at the end or giving it as an assumption, because I think that if we don't criticize anthropocentrism, we will not be able to then develop a proper conversation about ethics and politics, and we will not be able to talk about extinction, we will not be able to talk about animal consumption, we will not be able to talk about overpopulation, about climate change, about pollution, about environmental injustices, etc. So it's really important to start with anthropocentrism and some parallel concepts, for example, human exceptionalism and human supremacy. I decided to do so, to talk about anthropocentrism using two different articles. One that is a more divulgative article, the one of Eileen Crist. And Eileen Crist, The Affliction of Human Supremacy, has been written for The Ecological Citizen. That is an online semi-academic journal. It's not a properly academic journal, it's more it's a divulgative one. It's good to popularize and talk about concepts that are difficult but in a more easy language, more accessible for a broader public. So I decided to give you this short one that is very well written and very explanatory, even though Eileen Crist is a radical author. And then I gave you a more complex article, a paper from Helen Kopnina et al., written with other authors. Why this one? Because in this one we can see a dialectical attitude and a dialectical discussion between basically Hayward, that wrote in the 1997 an article criticizing the usage of anthropocentrism, and Kopnina and other authors that reply to this author, engaging in a dialogue showing why we should talk about anthropocentrism. So it's a way to have a double perspective, because in this class for sure you will see that will emerge a viewpoint that at the end of the day is the viewpoint of the authors that I've selected. Yet it's not my intention to give you just one interpretation of reality, just one way of thinking, just one way of approaching the current crisis. For sure, I must give you elements that are fundamental to understand, to even understand the basic knowledge, to the toolkit to discuss about problems like the relationship with other species. Yet I want you to have a broader perspective, and I want you to be able to think with your own mind, with your own brains. So take everything with a pinch of salt. I love the two papers that I gave you, but undoubtedly, especially the one of Helen Kopnina, can be a bit challenging, a bit radical for many aspects. Especially she's a Russian author. She traveled a lot. She has a more international perspective. She's not just an American author, and so she has this very direct way of communicating and saying, and sometimes can be harsh, but very straightforward. So I really enjoy to read Kopnina, and I really enjoy to read Crist, so I think that you will enjoy to read them as well, at least I hope so. Here I will try to discuss with you briefly what is anthropocentrism, then I will present you the article of Crist, and I will give you a compass to read the one of Kopnina. But I really hope to see your reflection on the topic of anthropocentrism and human supremacy at the end of this week for the weekly assignment and the weekly discussion. So I'm psyched to see what will you think about this specific issue. But let's now try to focus a bit more on the subject. Let's start to dig into the notion of anthropocentrism. What does anthropocentrism mean? Well, it is a simple word composed by two Greek words, and it basically means humans at the center. A way we can call it is humanocentrism. Is the belief that humans are at the center of the cosmos, of the universe, of the world. They are the center, but not the center geographically, but the center in terms of value. They are the best thing in the cosmos, the best thing in the universe, the most evolved form of life, the godlike species, and so on and so forth. So it's a way to say, anthropocentrism, that humans consider themselves as the top of everything, the top of not just of the